honor and manliness which directed his action in such matters. Speaking of the influences of Menard County, he wrote, "If she and Mason act circumspectly, they will in the convention be able so far to enforce their rights as to decide absolutely which one of the candidates shall be successful. Let me show the reason of this. Hardin, or some other Morgan candidate, will get Putnam, Marshall, Woodford, Tazewell, and Logan counties, making 16. Then you and Mason, having 3, can give the victory to either side. You say you shall instruct your delegates for me unless I object. I certainly shall not object. That would be too pleasant a compliment for me to tread in the dust. And besides, if anything should happen, which however is not probable, by which Baker should be thrown out of the fight, I would be at liberty to accept the nomination if I could get it. I do, however, feel myself bound not to hinder him in any way from getting the nomination. I should despise myself were I to attempt it. I think, then, it would be proper for your meeting to appoint 3 delegates and to instruct them to go for someone as a first choice, someone else as a second, and perhaps someone as a third. And if in those instructions I were named as the first choice, it would gratify me very much. If you wish to hold the balance of power, it is important for you to attend and secure the vote of Mason also." A few weeks again changed the situation, of which he informed Speed in a letter dated May 18th. "In relation to our Congress matter here, you were right in supposing I would support the nominee. Neither Baker nor I, however, is the man, but Hardin, so far as I can judge from present appearances. We shall have no split or trouble about the matter. All will be harmony." In the following year, 1844, Lincoln was once more compelled to exercise his patience. The Campbellite friends of Baker must again have been very active in behalf of their church favorite, for their influence, added to his dashing politics and eloquent oratory, appears to have secured him the nomination without serious contention, while Lincoln found a partial recompense in being nominated a candidate for presidential elector, which furnished him opportunity for all his party energy and zeal during the spirited but unsuccessful presidential campaign for Henry Clay. He not only made an extensive canvass in Illinois, but also made a number of speeches in the adjoining state of Indiana. It was probably during that year that a tacit agreement was reached among the Whig leaders in Sangamon County that each would be satisfied with 1 term in Congress and would not seek a second nomination. But Hardin was the aspirant from the neighboring county of Morgan, and apparently therefore not included in this arrangement. Already, in the fall of 1845, Lincoln industriously began his appeals and instructions to his friends in the district to secure the secession. Thus, he wrote on November 17th, "The paper at Pekin has nominated Hardin for governor, and, commenting on this, the Alton paper indirectly nominated him for Congress. It would give Hardin a great start, and perhaps use me up, if the Whig papers of the district should nominate him for Congress. If your feelings towards me are the same as when I saw you, which I have no reason to doubt, I wish you would let nothing appear in your paper which may operate against me. You understand. Matters stand just as they did when I saw you." Baker is certainly off the track, and I fear Hardin intends to be on it. But again, as before, the spirit of absolute fairness governed all his movements, and he took special pains to guard against it being suspected that I was attempting to juggle Hardin out of a nomination for Congress by juggling him into one for governor. "I should be pleased," he wrote again in January, "if I could concur with you in the hope that my name would be the only one presented to the convention, but I cannot. Hardin is a man of desperate energy and perseverance, and one that never backs out, and I fear to think otherwise is to be deceived in the character of our adversary. I would rejoice to be spared the labor of a contest, but, being in, I shall go it thoroughly and to the bottom." He then goes on to recount in much detail the chances for and against him in the several counties of the district, and in later letters discusses the system of selecting candidates, where the convention ought to be held, how the delegates should be chosen, the instructions they should receive, and how the places of absent delegates should be filled. He watched his field of operations, planned his strategy, and handled his forces almost with the vigilance of a military commander. As a result, he won both his nomination in May and his election to the 30th Congress in August 1846. In that same year, the Mexican War broke out. Hardin became colonel of one of the 3 regiments of Illinois volunteers called for by President Polk, while Baker raised a 4th regiment, which was also accepted. Colonel Hardin was killed in the Battle of Buena Vista, and Colonel Baker won great distinction in the fighting near the city of Mexico. Like Abraham Lincoln, Douglas was also elected to Congress in 1846, where he had already served the 2 preceding terms. But these redoubtable Illinois champions were not to have a personal tilt in the House of Representatives. Before Congress met, the Illinois legislature elected Douglas to the United States Senate for 6 years, from March 4th, 1847. End of Chapter 5.